just a half-naked crowd of people. Let them in with the blank checks and deep pockets. Hard living, the pain peeling, all the dark ways. Little rays of light moving, I couldn't let go. In the bar, her name is Johnny. The boys love her. Time waits, the light revealing all the dark ways. Bad feeling, it's you I need. I'm tired of the phone calls. Do I give myself to the outside? It's no fun when I spend my time in cars like the stars, but it's okay. Yeah, I'm okay in a smaller orbit. Let's run like horses. A lot of ways I can start making little changes. Until stoned in the back seat again, I couldn't stop it. Then the panic soon surrounds me like deep water. So I give myself to the outside. It's no fun when I spend my time in cars like the stars, but it's okay. Yeah, I'm okay in a smaller orbit. Let's run like horses. There's a black star right in my line of vision. Oh, I miss her. And nobody gets forgotten. Run like horses. Run on. Out my window, new day sunlight.
Gaz, welcome to The Right Note.
Thanks for having me.
I saw a quote from you where I think you were saying that at the beginning of an album process, you quite like to sort of set in place some limitations on yourself. What are those sorts of limitations?
I think it depends, really. I think it's something that we did a little bit over the years, even with Supergrass, I think, where you kind of, I think it's just sort of healthy for the writing stage, the early writing stage, to maybe deny yourself like a couple of the usual instruments that I may sort of jump onto, or sort of default sort of positions or default kind of, approach at the beginning. So yeah, just try and sort of shake it up a bit. You know? And usually it could be just a new little toy that I've found, or I've got this great little looping box, but it's like this sort of very analog. This I just call it the blue box, but it's this analog thing with just like one dial on it and a little microphone sticking out the top of it. And I just go around the house and sort of get little samples of things, or even just sing something into it, and then it loops. And you can turn the speed up and down and reverse it and make it. So it's really it's just really easy to use and fun, and it just sparks ideas. And so I might just set that going with some sort of loop and go and jump on the drum kit and start playing a beat and see what happens and stuff. But yeah, just to set myself a few instruments just to sort of start things going.
Yeah, okay.
Rather than just gravitating to what I always do, or you know, the usual stuff.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you might walk around the house and grab some sounds, or because from what I understand, World's Strongest Man was actually recorded mainly in your house. Is that right?
Yeah, it was a mixture of my place and then over at Courtyard Studios, which is still in Oxford, where my management is based. And yeah, I've got a friend over there, Ian Davenport, who sort of co-produced this one with me, and Matador actually. So yeah, we got that working process. It sort of it was really working on Matador, just doing like a week at mine.
Yeah.
And I just, you know, unload ideas, kind of quite chaotic, quite frantic, just throwing a lot of stuff at it. And then I'd go over to see Ian, to hang out there, and I guess that was a bit more, you know, a bit more professional.
Right.
And then, you know, he'd sort of just, you know, help me to pull it all together a bit more, I guess, and to make it kind of more coherent and focused, and it would then evolve. And then I go back to mine, and then just get a whole other load of ideas down.
Right.
But I liked that. It was really good. It kept the sessions fresh. Just sort of, you know, changing the environment.
Yeah. Am I right in thinking that you actually took your studio out of your basement for this record and put it up in your house, so that the living room was a tracking room and a...
Pretty much, yeah. I'd done 2 albums down in the basement, and it was great. It was brilliant for me. It's a really good spot down there. I had 3 rooms just so I could have a drum room and a control room, and then the hallway just was filled with amps and stuff. I don't know. I just sort of felt like I wanted to, you know, bring it out of the darkness, and so yeah. Then I took over the living room with the mixing desk, and you know, the piano and various instruments here and there, and cables and all that sort of stuff, and then the study with all the bookshelves and stuff with my drum room.
Okay.
Which was great because all the books were just kind of this kind of natural sort of you know, sound insulation, and sort of soaked up a lot of the reflections and stuff. So I got a great drum sound in that little study. So, but yeah, then amps and things and synthesizers would sort of creep into the hallways,
Right.
and into the kitchen, and then, you know,
Yeah.
Jules, my wife, would just be like, "Gaz, there's another fucking synth in the kitchen now. It's like, it's not supposed to be there." But you know, it's yeah, I don't know. I just sort of wanted to. It's just what I do. It's what's in the house. It's like, I like to. You know, the kids get home from school, and you know, there was, you know, one of the first things you see is a drum kit set up with microphones. And
Yeah. You're planting a seed in them, aren't you?
Yeah. You know, yeah. Just be somewhere creative. Just surround yourself with stuff, and you know, that you're passionate about. And but yeah, it's worked really well on this one. Yeah.
Yeah, great. And when you were talking about that quote I mentioned to you earlier about the limitations, you also said that despite those limitations, that means it doesn't mean you have any fewer neuroses or self-examination or freaking out when you make a record. Is making an album a fraught process for you?
I think it can be in places. I think at times it can be. I think, I mean, to be honest, I really enjoy the early stages where things are very instinctive. And with starting a new idea, I kind of like to record from an early point as well. You know, record as I'm writing, because I kind of like those moments when I almost don't really know what I'm doing yet. You know, so it's kind of coming from somewhere. I guess, you know, the heart as opposed to the head, if you like, or it's just more sort of guttural. It's instinctive. And I think what I learned from Matador was trusting my instinct, you know, and sort of seeing that through, which was pretty, you know, which I think really helped me to be free, you know, when writing. You know, and the limitations thing, there's that kind of that stems even from, you know, 4-track cassette recording. You know, back in the day, it's kind of, you know, I think when you do have those limitations, or whether that be a technical limitation or a predetermined sort of creative limitation, I just think it sort of makes you do things differently. I think you just, you know, you might find another way around that in itself brings something cool out of a sound or out of an approach.
I mean, Matador, your previous album, was, you know, an acclaimed album, Mercury Prize nominated. You've had prior to that so much success with Supergrass as well. But when you are making a new album, do you still have any self-doubts, or does that sort of previous success sort of quiet any doubts you might have?
Yeah, well, you know, yeah. I mean, it takes a while for it to show itself, I guess, the record. So there's always an element of you know, or even before I start, you kind of, you know, I've often had that sort of thought of, can I write another, you know, am I going to write another song like 2020 or Buffalo or, you know,
Whether you're
or
capable
Detroit.
of writing another song like that?
Yeah, or just, yeah, because I'm sort of quite, I don't know, not sort of spiritual about it, but I sort of think they're kind of, these things are just sort of, they just sort of come to me, and I don't, you know, I don't know, it's kind of, I haven't really thought about it too much, but just, yeah, you know, whether these things are just little moments of magic, you know, and maybe the sort of, the pessimistic side of me is sort of like, is that magic always going to be there?
Right.
Surely it's going to have times when it's just not happening, and
Yeah.
and so it is a question a little bit at the beginning. It's like, you know, is this going to work? But just, you know, usually after the first 3 or 4 ideas are coming out, and with good people around me as well, I've got a good network around me of, you know, whether it's, you know, my wife or Ian, the co-producer, or my manager Chris, you know, who's a very creative manager, you know, not sort of like a business manager. He's definitely a creative manager, and helps me believe, you know, when I'm sort of lacking in any confidence.
Okay.
But it's all part of it, you know. I think, yeah, that sort of lack of confidence and uncertainty and vulnerability with the ideas, I think, is all part of it for me. I think that's what makes it work, is that, you know, it's not a done deal.
Yeah. Have there been moments in your career when that magic hasn't been there and you've had to really work to find it?
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, at the end of Supergrass, I guess, that last record we were working on, you know, it just wasn't, yeah. I still don't know why particularly, but just you know, yeah, just things weren't firing in the way that I'd normally get a buzz, you know. And, I don't know if that was a sort of lack of magic, or if it was just things just not connecting, just not sort of all being on the same page, or
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it happens to bands all the time. I mean, it happened through other records, but just maybe more. It was more manageable.
Sure.
When the moments when it happened on previous records, we could sort of just, or take a break, and we just realise that those 3 songs are shit, and we'll just kind of come back and start again, and you had the energy to do that, and maybe that was just lacking in a bit of energy at the very end of the band, and yeah, it was tough though. It kind of hurt, you know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay. And World's Strongest Man, one of the big themes in there is, I guess, masculinity and what it is to be a man. And I know that the book by Grayson Perry, The Descent of Man, was quite critical to you in following that theme for the record, if I understand that correctly.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it was one of many inspirations, I guess. I think, you know, after reading the book, it's a brilliant book. It's a really, really great read, and it's written in a very sort of non-judgmental way. You know, it's never sort of, you know, I'm right, you're wrong. You know, this is the way. You know, it's just kind of putting ideas out there. It's like a kind of, and I read it and was really, really taken with it. I just sort of thought, this is great. This is kind of speaking to me. I don't know why at this present time it's speaking to me, you know, but it's, you know, it definitely inspired the album title and parts of the title track as well. Just in terms of, you know, whether, I don't know, I guess in terms of being sort of at ease with any sort of emotional vulnerabilities and kind of owning that rather than, you know, rather than sort of battling against it or denying it, or, you know, just, which I guess does fit into the, you know, the whole idea of you know, dealing with, you know, mental health issues as well. And I think it's sort of, it's sort of always better to kind of try and own something, try and deal with it, rather than sort of deny its existence and you know, battle on with a British stiff upper lip, you know. It's kind of,
Yep.
you know, it's like, fuck it, it's just like shit happens, you know, we all deal with things. And if you can put them into something creative and, you know, and expressive and fun and that has energy and excitement as well. And, you know, I felt this album had all of those things, you know, the energy, the kind of excitement. It's not, there's not any anger in it. I don't feel there's any anger in it, even though I sort of address, you know, even the odd moment of, you know, if you like, I guess, mocking the kind of divisive, you know, powerful men that are kind of ruining it for the rest of us. And but just kind of skirting, you know, sort of flirting with that idea, and then I'd maybe take it somewhere a bit more sort of visceral and a bit more abstract as well, so that it, you know, they're not, you know, it's not a case of this is a song about this, you know, or this is a political song.
Sure.
It's just like there are, you know, I don't know. I always loved the way Bowie wrote lyrics in a way like that. I could never reach those heights, but just the way that he approached lyrics was, you know, there'd be kind of cool bits of imagery that might contain a line, you know, relating to, you know, a figure of the time or a political figure, or so, you know. But then it sort of becomes a bit more visceral and poetic. Yeah. And I think that's what I feel closest to in terms of lyric writing. You know, I think there's people much better than me at kind of addressing the sort of political issues, you know, doing the Billy Bragg thing, and but yeah, I feel good. You know, the last two records, definitely, I've kind of feel like I've hit a rhythm with how I approach the lyrics, and
absolutely. And you mentioned mental health earlier, which is one of the sort of, which pops up throughout the record, or in a couple of songs in particular. How has it helped you to be so open about those sorts of issues?
Well, I think again, it's sort of not always easy to talk about stuff, and I think, you know, I think for me, you know, I find that I sometimes fall into the trap of thinking, or I don't know, it's just, you know, you sort of think, you know, so people really want to hear about that, about my shit, you know, I don't know if, you know, or you kind of conscious of like moaning, or, you know, and I've definitely been guilty of doing that a lot. At the same time, it's not like suddenly kind of like an outpouring of every feeling that I have. It's not. But just music has just really helped me to sort of work through, you know, stuff that I've dealt with. You know, I mean, I've probably, you know, since my mum died like 15 years ago, I think that sort of, you know, set quite a lot of weird things in motion, you know, emotionally for me, and finding it hard to sort of recover from that in a way. And so I guess there's a lot of moments where, you know, like Vanishing Act on this record, where it's just sort of, and again, it's not, I don't know, it's not kind of super heavy. It's just like, you know, there are moments, when I'm sort of a bit of a mess, and it's like, fuck, you know, I've got to get my head straight. I can't sit in this place and just, I've got to kind of move forward and deal with this, you know, and so, and it came out as that kind of mad, kind of shouty chorus. And I just sort of, fuck it, why not just say it as it is? Yeah. You know, I get my head straight, you know, or I can just put on my happy face again for you, you know, when I don't really mean it. Yeah. You know, but it's, you know, it's got, I hope it's, I tried to get it across still with a light-hearted edge to it. Sure. You know, life's just kind of weird, sort of light and dark, and I kind of enjoy that in a way. I sort of, it inspires me when, you know, those contradictions sort of in life, you know. Great. All right, guys, well, thank you very much for coming on the show. Nice to see you. Nice one.